Hey guys, I'm gonna start off probably one of the first of 2 or 3, I don't know how many videos of the Dell RAID controller. Now, as you saw in the last video, there were a few settings that were what I call mystery settings. You don't really need them to run. So there's probably going to be quite a few of those in here too. I'm just going to let you know that there's probably going to be a few settings where I'm going to go, I have no damn clue what it does. Um, Anyways, I'm going to go into the setup F2. There's going to be a few settings where I don't know what they do, but I'm going to tell you right now that you do not need to know those settings in order to make this work. I know all the settings that you have to make this work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do it from the, you have to go into the setup first and set something. And I showed this to you in the BIOS, but I'm going to show it to you guys again. Now, just so you guys know, see how it says no bootable device available? This is actually a whole nother server. This is a whole nother server, so this is my second Dell PowerEdge, and there's no hard drives in here right now because I haven't gotten any hard drives for it yet. My other one is in RAID 1 right now, and I just don't want to mess with this setting because you can lose data on your hard drives. But I'm going to show it to you guys on this one because I don't have any hard disks and I don't have anything to lose. So I'm going to go from one server, then I'm going to show you my other server just because it has hard disks in there. I'm going to show you all the settings. But first you're going to go into, when you boot it, you're going to set F2. You're going to push F2 to go into the settings while it's booting up. And once you get to the settings, of course, you get to the BIOS. And this is how I showed all this to you in the BIOS video. But here's where it matters, is you're going to go to integrated devices. Now right now you can see it's in SCSI mode. If you're looking to put this server into RAID, you have to have it RAID enabled. Now again, when you guys are going to do this and you guys are going to make this change, I highly recommend you back up any data that you have on here, because it tells you to, and if it tells you to, it probably is going to erase data. Like I said, it didn't erase data for me, but I didn't put it all the way into RAID. I put it into RAID mode, but I never actually configured the drives into RAID. I just actually, what I ended up doing was erasing everything on the drive and reinstalling the operating system, because I didn't have anything on the server that was important, and it was just easier for me to just start all over. Anyways, you gotta go into, again, let me just kind of show that to you in a little better detail. You push F2 to get into your settings. This is your BIOS settings, and you go to integrated devices, you push enter, and you go over to RAID enabled. And you push enter, escape, do you want to save the changes, and exit, enter, yes, and it's gonna reboot. So wait for that to happen. Again, I don't have any editing magic right now. My laptop's not here. So I'm just going to upload this straight to YouTube through my servers, and it's just going to be a cold hard video. So it's going to boot. Again, there's all your settings right there. You can push F2 to set up, and that's what we did to get into the BIOS. So we're waiting for it to boot, and because we went from SCSI to RAID, it's going to ask us now, do we really want to do that? And it's going to have us confirm that twice. So when it's asking you to confirm something twice in a row with just one letter on the keyboard, that means it's probably pretty serious. Says warning, it detected the mode from SCSI to RAID on channel A of the embedded RAID subsystem. So it's detected that we changed it. Warning, detecting mode change from SCSI to RAID on channel B of the enabled it detected the change on both channels, A and B. You can only do both channels. And it says data loss will occur. A and B just means that you're doing it to all the hard disks. There's 2 different channels on there. And it says press Y to confirm the change, or press any other key to cancel. So it obviously doesn't want you to accidentally just push a key and accept it. You have to push Y on there, and then when you push Y, it's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? Again, when it asks you this many times, it probably means that something's going to happen. It may erase data or whatever. It's telling you something's going to happen. Anyways, It's going to start booting up now, and it's not going to ask you this every time. It's just going to ask you the one time you change it. And now you'll see that it says press Control M to run setup configuration. That's it. So I'm going to press, oh, I didn't push, I pushed Shift M. Anyways, I'll reboot it and I'll show that to you. And I'm actually going to do that in my other server now, because my other server that I showed you before that I have all the hard disks in, it is in RAID mode already. So I just wanted to show you guys the SCSI to RAID mode transfer and how to do that. I didn't want to do that on my server with the hard drives because I didn't want to lose data. So I did it on this one just to show you guys. But that is very important that you go into the BIOS settings and change it from SCSI to RAID, because this is not going to work without it. So you'll notice now it says press Control M. If you don't have it in that RAID enabled mode and you just have it in SCSI, it's not going to give you this option when you boot. So you have to push Control M. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you guys real quick here. I have a KVM switch, so this is one of my servers and this is the other one. I'm just going to switch over to the other server now. So this is where I left off on my last video, the BIOS. So I'm just going to escape out of here and save changes and exit, whatever. So we're going to boot into this one now, and this one's already in RAID enabled, so it's going to ask us for it'll give us the Control M option. And when you push Control M, that puts you into the BIOS setting, or the RAID settings. BIOS, boot, RAID, it's all those words, weird words you gotta remember. But it'll give you the RAID settings. You're not going to be able to access any of the RAID controller settings unless it's in the RAID enabled mode under the integrated devices in the system setup, the F2 setup. So we're waiting for it to boot now, and it says Control M. So I just pushed it. Actually, yeah, Control M. And it'll take a minute, so don't keep pushing it and getting pissed off. It's gonna show this, and then it's gonna come up. But it'll take a second for it to come up. So like if you push F2, it takes a second. This is it. This is magic. So if you got here, this is the RAID setup. This is what's nice about Dell, is it's really easy to put the drives in RAID. It's very easy to use this, and this is going to go on to several videos, I can already tell you. It's very easy to use this though, and it gives you a lot of options, and it's nice to use. So this is my current. I can look at my logical drive. I have a logical drive on there right now. I'm not gonna actually make change any settings right now, because this is my actual primary server that I'm running right now for websites and stuff, and I don't want to screw with the settings. I don't want to change them because it's running fine now, and I just don't mess with things when they're running fine. And especially with RAID controllers, you don't want to screw with your RAID controllers once you have it up and running, because you can really mess up the data on your hard drives. Anyways, let me just kind of go through the menu here. You have configure. We'll get into that in a minute. And initialize, objects, clear, rebuild, check consistency, and reconstruct. So I'll start with reconstruct. If you happen to lose a hard drive, the orange light on the front of your server will start blinking. The little orange LED, you'll see it. You can't miss it. It's really bright, and it starts blinking like every second. And that'll tell you that something's wrong, whether it's a power supply that's failed or a hard drive that's failed. That's what that means. So if you have an orange light that's blinking on your server, that could be a key that your hard disk has failed. Logical drive 0. Okay, so you can reconstruct a logical drive. So let's just say I have it in RAID 0 right now, which I do, and one of my hard drives fails. So if I have hard disk number 1 fails, so it takes a shitter, and the light comes on. So we're still running fine on one hard drive because it's RAID. I'm sorry, I meant to say RAID 1. If I said RAID 0, you're already screwed. Sorry. That's why I don't recommend RAID 0, RAID 1 or RAID 5, because if you lose a hard drive, you're fine. If you're in RAID 0, you get more memory, but you take the chance that if you lose that hard drive, you are screwed as soon as either one crashes. But if you're in RAID 1 like me, and you lose a hard drive, the light will come on. It'll tell you that a hard drive has failed, and there's a bug on me. Anyway, it'll tell you that the hard drive, get the hell off me. It'll tell you that the hard drive has failed, and you can go into the BIOS settings, right into the Control M, get right here, pop a new drive in there, push reconstruct, and enter. I don't know if I want to do this right now because it might try to reconstruct it. It should ask me again. I just pushed enter. There you go. So anyways, you'll have your 2 hard drives here because I'm in RAID 1. I have 2 hard disks, and let's say you just bought your new hard drive, or you had a spare, so you popped it in there, but now you want to back up all the data and you want to put it just exactly how it was before, because you're in RAID 1 and you want to have that redundancy again, because now you're running only on 1 hard drive if one has crashed. So what you would do is you'd get into here and you would push, they're both online as you can see, there's the 0 drive and the 1 drive, and you would push the space bar to select them, and they start blinking. When you push the space bar, down arrow, space bar, and they'll start blinking. You could actually, it's not gonna, it'll only allow you to select 1 drive for now, because you can only reconstruct 1 drive. It knows that you can't select both drives because only 1 physical drive can be detected. Anyways, that's because you can't reconstruct both drives, because if you've lost both hard drives, obviously you are screwed. And this bug keeps coming on me. Anyways, you can only reconstruct 1 drive because, you know, it uses the data on 1 hard drive to fix the other. If they're both done, you're screwed. So you select the drive that broke. So if you had the second hard drive crash, and you pull out the bad one, you put a new one in, you select it with a space bar, and it starts to blink. You push enter, and I'm not going to do that right now. It's pretty self-explanatory. All the stuff's down here. It'll show you space to select or deselect. You can push F3 for the information. It'll tell you everything about it. It's in RAID 1 right now. Logical drive 0. This is the size of it. It's only a 36 gigabyte hard drive. How many stripes you have? That's how many hard disks I have. It considers each hard disk a stripe because it goes between the hard disks, and then each stripe size and the drive state. That just shows you information. You can't change any of that stuff right now. But anyways, this is the drive that I would reconstruct, and I would push enter, and it's pretty self-explanatory from there. But I'm not going to push that because none of my drives have failed, and I don't want to do that right now. And it takes, I'm going to be honest with you, it takes a damn long time. It takes me like 4 hours to reconstruct a 36 gigabyte hard drive. So if you had like a 300 gigabyte hard drive, that's going to be an all-day situation. It may even take longer than all day. So yeah, it takes a while to reconstruct a drive, because you're taking all the data from one and you're putting it onto the other. And if you're in RAID 5, God, that must take like weeks to reconstruct a drive. It takes forever. So I just want to let you guys know how to reconstruct a drive if you have it failed. Anyways, you guys are probably wondering, how the hell do you even put it in RAID to begin with? Well, anyways, I want to explain to you guys the difference between a physical and a logical drive real quick. So a physical drive is an actual physical hard disk, sort of like physical and logical processors. You have a physical processor, it may be an actual processor in there that's hooked onto a heatsink. And then a logical processor is saying you have a dual or quad core processor. Really, you only have one processor sitting in there, but it's split into 4 separate sections, and it shows up on your computer and it recognizes it as 4 separate processors. That's how this is too. You have in this case 2 physical hard drives. I have actually 2 hard drives in there that I can actually physically take out and touch, but it takes both those hard drives and it puts them into a what's called a logical disk. Now a logical disk is a disk that is made by the RAID controller. That may be a RAID 1 drive. So basically what I'm saying is take the 2 physical hard drives, 0 and 1, put them into a logical drive, and that's going to make 1 hard drive out of it. So it's going to be just recognized as one 36 gigabyte hard drive. However, whenever you write to that hard drive, it's going to make 2 copies of it, obviously, because it's in RAID 1. So a logical drive is just something that your RAID controller makes up, whether it's a RAID 5 disk. Even if you have 3 physical hard drives now, you actually have 3 disks spinning, but you have them all in RAID 5, it's just going to be one logical hard drive. It's RAID 5. So a logical drive is something that's made up by your RAID controller, and it's consisted of one or more physical drives in an array. Check consistency. You push this. I'm not going to do this right now again because this is one of those things that just takes a godly amount of time. Anyways, it shows you all the options down here. It's very easy to figure out. F10, check consistency. So you can you have the logical drive 0 over here. You push the space bar to select it or deselect it. You push F10 to check it. This is one of those things where I've done it before. It will take hours to check the drive. So anyways, all you'd have to do is just push F10 and it'll check it. Now what this does is it checks to see if there's anything wrong with the drives. If it's in RAID 1, it'll make sure that all the drives look the same. So it has to actually look through the entire drive and make sure that they look the same. If you, it's good to check up on this every once in a while. It'll check and tell you if there's something wrong with your hard drives, and if so, you can reconstruct them. But it just basically checks to make sure everything's okay and dandy with your hard drives and that nothing's wrong. That's all it does. It'll tell you or report if your hard drives are okay or if it seems like there's something wrong. Rebuild. Rebuild is, oh no, I'm sorry. When I went back down here and I said reconstruct, I totally got this mixed up. Reconstruct is going from one level to another. This is when you want to go from RAID 0 to RAID 1, or you want to go from RAID 1 to RAID 5, let's say. You can go from one RAID level to another. Rebuild is when you want to recover a hard disk that has failed. So everything that I just explained back here for reconstruct, that actually applies to rebuild. Rebuild is when you want to recover a failed drive. I'm sorry, I totally got that mixed up. They sort of sound the same, and I guess reconstruct could be considered a failed drive, but yeah, when you reconstruct it, it says only physical drives can be rebuilt. So only it says only failed drives can be rebuilt. So none of these drives have failed, so it's not going to allow me to select it. But it'll say on here failed. It'll be a big red line and it'll say failed. It's almost like, you know, back in school. Fail. It'll say fail, and that's the one you're going to select with a space bar. And then you select it and push enter, and it'll rebuild the no, you'll push F10 to start it. So you'll come in here, it'll say fail on one of the hard disks and it'll be blinking, and you select it with your space bar and you push F10 and it fixes that hard drive. And again, that takes forever to do. But yeah, so everything I explained in here is actually right here. The rebuild is when you lose a hard drive. Reconstruct is when you go from one RAID level to another. Why you would want to do that, I don't know. Maybe you have it in RAID 1 and you say, oh, I want to put it in RAID 5. I've never done it before. It's, I imagine, pretty easy to do. You just select which drive you want to reconstruct, which would be your logical drive 0, and you can select it with a spacebar, or no, you can so you can push enter. You select it, escape. Everything is frozen. There it goes. It's looking for the hard drives. So you can go to there and select it, and it'll look for the hard drives. And this is a logical drive 0. That's going to be my RAID 1 drive right now. And you can say, okay, I want to take this drive and I want to put it in RAID 5 instead of RAID 1. So that's all the reconstruct is. And the check consistency, again, you can check if something's wrong. Rebuild is to recover from a crashed hard disk. Clear is another one of those things that is kind of handy. This will clear your hard drive for good. It will take anything and everything that's on the hard drive and delete it. I did this to both my hard drives before I put them in RAID, so that I know that they were at 0, they both had nothing on them. Then I installed the operating system. Again, just like any other menu, you select the hard drive with the space bar. Okay, and it says right now, you cannot clear an online drive. So basically what it's saying is, when it's online, that means it's in a RAID mode right now. That means these two drives are in RAID 1. And when I go to push clear, and I select this drive, it says, you're an idiot. You don't want to do that, because these are in RAID 1 right now, and you don't want to clear these drives. Basically, what you can do is take them out of RAID mode, and just clear them individually, but you cannot clear them when they're in RAID. But what you do is just go in here, push spacebar, it'll start blinking. Again, you push enter and F10, and it'll start to clear it. That takes takes a long time to clear a drive, but it'll take anything and everything, operating system, anything that's on the drive, and clear it to where there's nothing on the drive. So that's what that does, but it cannot be in a RAID configuration when you push clear. It has to be zero, or it has to be just by itself. It has to be just a physical drive. It cannot be in a logical drive when you're doing that. So we'll escape out of that. Objects. This just shows you anything you want to know. It's just information about stuff. You can click it with enter. It'll show you things about it. So you can see the adapter, any settings, anything on here. Anything about the adapter or anything you have on here. Let me escape. The logical drive, it'll show you information about, we can select which logical drive you want to look at. You can initialize it, check its consistency, view or update parameters. They're all self-explanatory. I mean, if you're setting RAID controllers, I would hope you can understand what this stuff means. Initialize, I'll get into in a minute. Check consistency, I just explained that. You can check to see if it's okay, or if you suspect there's something wrong with it, it'll check it for you. View and update parameters, you just click that. You obviously, I don't think you can change anything from here. This just shows everything about it. It's in RAID 1, it's this many megabytes, it's a 36 gigabyte hard drive, it's got 64 kilobyte stripe sizes, it's write policy, write back, read policy, adaptive. It just shows everything about it. The cache, stripes, state, anything about the logical drive. It shows you the information. So that's what that is. And that's what all this is. Physical drive, you can enter, it'll check for your physical drives. And once they load, give it a second, there they are. And you can see information about them. You push F3, like it says down there, F3, and it'll show you, again, I already showed you this, any information about the physical drives. Channel 1 and channel 0, you can select that. What it is there's channel 0 is your first hard drive, channel 1 is your second hard drive. Shows you if it's on the transfer rate, so the speed that it's running at, and it just shows you everything about that channel. This is the second one. This is the second hard disk. It's on, and the transfer rate is 320 megs. So that's it for that. It's just a bunch of information. The battery information, you can see the battery module is on, and the temperature is good, voltage is good. It just shows you anything you want to know about the battery. How many cycles it's had, that's kind of cool. And then press any key to continue. It shows you, always shows you that, and that'll just exit out of there. Reset battery charge counter, I'm not going to do that. It's pretty self-explanatory. You reset it, and it resets how many times you've drained the battery and recharged it.